Fam, what's good? This your boy Thou, FamOverTV. Appreciate everybody tapping into the channel, showing love, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. These videos are for entertainment purposes only. Today I got another crazy video. It's the real history of Thanksgiving. For some reason in history, they didn't tell us all the details about Thanksgiving. We just, was just assumed and had things in our head that they taught us in school, and we just ran with that all our life. But in reality, it's a story behind Thanksgiving, and it's a crazy story. Um, I don't know if you celebrate Thanksgiving or the holidays or whatever, but it don't matter to me. I don't judge nobody. I don't, care what you do. But comment below. Let me know what you think about these videos. Make sure you like the video. Let's get into it.
On this day in dark history, the Mystic Massacre, also known as the Pequot Massacre or the Battle of Mystic Fort, occurred on May 26, 1637, during the Pequot War in Connecticut. The colonizers set fire to the fort, preventing anyone from escaping, and proceeded to kill most of the village's inhabitants. It is estimated that between 400 and 700 Pequot civilians were killed during the massacre. The only Pequot survivors were warriors who were away on a raiding party. The conflict between the Pequots, Mohegans, Narragansetts, and European colonists had been fueled by competition and alliances. Retaliation raids and tensions escalated after a trader was murdered by Pequots. In April 1637, the Pequots attacked the colonial village of Wethersfield, killing non-combatants, which enraged the settlers and increased support for the war against the Pequots. A militia of 90 men, supported by Mohegan and Narragansett forces, attacked the Pequot fort. The assault was initially resisted by the Pequots, but when the colonizers withdrew, they set fire to the village and blocked the exits, leading to the death of many trapped Pequots. Those who managed to escape were killed by Narragansett fighters. The massacre marked a turning point in the Pequot War and was an example of total war by the colonists. Additionally, around 500 to 1,000 women and children were enslaved and transported to Bermuda and Barbados, with around 500 of them taken to Barbados on a slave ship called the Seaflower. Follow for more daily dark history and creepy content.
Man, y'all been doing this wrong for a long time, man. A long time. Comment below. Make sure you like the video.
Peace, blessings, and love, family. This is the elder out of New Orleans coming to you with another informative video. Peace and blessings to all the melanated family. All praises to our Creator and our ancestors. Remember, this video is going to be about the origin of Thanksgiving, the Pequot Massacre of over 1,000 melanated people in Massachusetts. That is the origin of Thanksgiving. What these Europeans did, it was a thriving community minding their own business. So like Europeans do, they say we gotta take this land, we gotta take this community. So what they did, they came in like they always do, with their cannons and their guns, and burnt the community down. Then the governor of Massachusetts proclaimed Thanksgiving Day for the massacre of almost 1,000 melanated Indians that was already here. And
Melanated.
They not only did it in Massachusetts, they did it in Connecticut, Delaware, New Hampshire. All that was Pequot territory. Just like down south was Seminole territory, Blackfoot territory, Choctaw, Cherokee. We was already here all over America. The cowboy movies that you see them fighting the Indians, that's who they was fighting us. Now black people going out in 2-3 more weeks to celebrate Thanksgiving and don't even know the origin of Thanksgiving. The origin of Thanksgiving is a massacre of melanated people, just like the Europeans been doing all over America. Went there in California slaughtering people, Florida, Louisiana, all over America was owned and operated by melanated people that look just like me. But there are going to be a lot of black people going to celebrate this demonic holiday. Like all the rest of the holidays are demonic and made to make money and killing turkeys and everything else. That's right, family. So if you don't believe me, you can go do your own research on the Pequot Massacre of 1637. Even got white folks making documentaries on it, because it's nothing but the truth. These people ain't nothing but murderers, land stealers, liars, manipulators, and thieves. That's right, family.
Not all of them, but
This video short. Love to hear your comments. Stay tuned for the next video or live stream, and the elder is out.
So when the schools say that the Pilgrims and the Native Americans feasted together and celebrated after they taught them how to survive on the land, that part isn't false. That's actually true. But they always cut the story off there, and there's a lot more
That's
to
all
this
we
story.
learned in
As the
school.
Native Americans were kind of becoming outnumbered by so many Pilgrims, they started to slowly take them out. Now, one of the biggest attacks that is known to have happened was the Green Corn Ceremony attack. Basically, what happened is one of the native tribes, named the Pequots, were celebrating their annual green corn ceremony. And a green corn ceremony is an annual celebration that usually lasts for about 4 days and is practiced by various Native American tribes. And they did not agree to the original treaty that Squanto negotiated between them. And because of this and the fact they believed they had right to their land, the Pilgrims decided to murder as many of them as possible. In the early hours of the morning after the natives had their green corn celebration, English soldiers just showed up and surrounded all of the village while they were sleeping. They then ordered them to come outside, and if they refused to come outside, they would just set their shelter on fire and they were burned alive inside of them. The ones that did come outside were either shot or beaten to death with a club. After this, a new celebration was formed to celebrate the victory and slaying of all of those Native Americans, and it was called Thanksgiving. And it continued. The Pilgrims continued going to different tribes and attacking them, selling children as young as 14 off into the sex slavery, and just murdering anyone else. They would literally fill boats with like 500 people at a time and ship them back to England. Fucking bizarre. And despite the treaty that was made, most of the chiefs were beheaded, and the chief of the Wampanoag tribe was specifically beheaded and stuck on a stick for 24 years on display for everyone to see. And so these celebrations and massacres have continued for many years to come. And George Washington became the first president in 1789, and he decided that there should only be one day set aside every year to celebrate all of these successful massacres. When he created the Thanksgiving Proclamation, the Native Americans aren't even mentioned in it one time, even though they were basically the reason that the Pilgrims were able to establish themselves, aka we may not be here today without them.
that's crazy, because in school, that's all they taught us was that they met the Native Americans, which is us, and we taught them some shit, and we ate good, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? They cut it off, but they hide the real history. Come to find out, this whole time we celebrating Thanksgiving, and it was a massacre. I don't know, man. Y'all comment below. I'm tired of finding out so much new stuff and information and everything. It's crazy out here, man. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand how people just could be cruel and have these type of negative and bad intentions to do something like they're doing. But let's get it going, y'all. My bad.
But we talked about that, and I wanted people to know the truth about that. It was actually,
if you want to talk about
do
how
wanna
Thanksgiving
talk about
came about.
I do want to talk about it. First of all, you got to remember, my dear brother, that history, his story.
It's
It's not our story. When they proclaimed Thanksgiving, it was in Mystic, Connecticut. A tribe of Indian people, the Pequots, that were thriving and surviving. But shortly after, we taught these white people how to farm and how to take care of the land and raise food. They got beside themselves. A few years after they started prospering, they decided that they were going to take their women and their children out to a big field and have a cookout celebration. No Indians brought deer. There was never a Thanksgiving dinner with them, according to what they say. Not true. The celebration of Thanksgiving was the men walked off from their families and went further north into Mystic, Connecticut, and he murdered these Pequot Indian children, elders, women, and men. Got them in the enclosure of their habitat. They had built forts, per se, but that was only for the protection of their people. And they trapped them in where they couldn't get out, and they set it on fire, and they burned them to death. Then they came back. They were so thankful that they had killed these Indians, but that was the first Thanksgiving, not what you read about in their books.
It wasn't until when President Lincoln decided, instead of having it every other day when they were going to different tribes, killing them, that he decided to make it once a year, a day of Thanksgiving once a year.
True. And let me tell you about President Lincoln. Because Indians, the Dakota, and Nakota Indians wouldn't give up. These are the people from Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, up in that area, would not give up. They were fighting, and they captured in excess of 200 of them. And they wanted to hang them all. But Lincoln intervened because of politics, should I say politics. And he said, no, I don't want you to hang them all. Pick 38 of them. And that's how they came over to Mankato 38. That was the largest mass hanging ever in this country.
Crazy. Super crazy. It's crazy the stuff you be learning and everything, man. All the stuff they hid from us in history. Like, I didn't learn none of this stuff in history. I don't even really remember all the stuff I learned in history class, but make sure y'all like the video and comment below. Appreciate everybody who tapped in, man. For sure, for sure.
FamOver.
Just showing some pictures right now. Man. Just make you think. Like, it's like everything just coming, all the truth is coming to the light. Like, there's nothing they can hide anymore. Too much information out here, man.
The history of Thanksgiving you weren't taught in school. The first officiated Thanksgiving in 1637 marked the end of a bloody campaign against a Native American tribe known as the Pequot. On May 26, 1637, at least 700 of the tribe's estimated 8,000 members were slaughtered by English settlers from 4 colonies and their native allies. It became known as the Pequot Massacre.
Thanksgiving originally celebrated the 1637 massacre of the Pequot tribe. English and Dutch pilgrims surrounded and shot the Pequot natives. Women and children who huddled inside the longhouse were burnt alive. The rotting flesh could be smelled a mile away. John Winthrop, the governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, declared a day of Thanksgiving after the slaughter. The remaining women and children were sold into slavery, while the rest were murdered. Following a successful raid against the Pequot, the churches announced a second day of Thanksgiving to celebrate victory over the Indian savages. Next Thanksgiving, when you gather with your loved ones to thank God for all your blessings, think about the thousands of natives that were murdered on these national holidays. Truth is,
how can you be so cruel? Like it just hurt to even hear that situation. The stories, horrible stories. Like, how can you be so cruel to do that to some people? Kill all those people just to, man, they've been doing this for a long time, man. Like, god damn. We tired of all that bullshit, man. Y'all need to stop all that, man. Make sure y'all like the video, comment below, man. Let's finish it.
As the Puritans of New England expanded into Native American lands, tensions mounted between settlers and the Indians. This friction eventually exploded into the Pequot War of 1637.
The English really wanted to dominate this land, and they wanted to settle the land with their own people and displace the Native Americans.
When colonists built fences on Indian land and started to compete for the same game, Indians became infuriated. And the colonists became enraged when Indians resisted their attempts to convert them to Christianity. Hostility increased as both sides competed for trading relationships with the Dutch. And finally, the Pequots attacked.
Tensions broke out into a Pequot raid on English settlements in Connecticut. This gave the English an excuse to then put together an expedition to attack the Pequot settlements.
The English allied themselves with the Pequots' neighboring Indian enemies, including the Narragansetts of Rhode Island and the Mohegans of Connecticut.
The Pequots were starting to lose their power and their influence.
The English torched Pequot villages, savagely burning hundreds of Indians to death. By the end of the Pequot War, the tribe was nearly annihilated. It was such a brutal and catastrophic war that even the Pequot enemies who had allied themselves with the colonists were stunned by the savagery.
In this Thanksgiving,
This was quite a shock to the native allies of the English, who were not used to waging war in such a lethal and devastating manner. Their tendency would be to capture these peoples, take them back home as captives, often to intermarry into their families or to work as servants, and even possibly slaves for them, but certainly not to slaughter so many people, and certainly not to slaughter so many women and children.
man, that's ridiculous, man. It's just a sad story to hear. Like, all this stuff keep coming. I keep learning more and more stuff. The more research you do, I just say to everybody, just make sure you're doing your own research and knowing what you're getting yourself into, knowing what you're celebrating and everything, because you could be out here like celebrating a holiday and not knowing what the holiday really means, just like the situation that just happened, and it's crazy, man. Y'all comment below, let me know what y'all think about that. The Pequot Massacre, you know what I'm saying, or the origin of Thanksgiving, like how it really started and everything. So really we celebrating a massacre when we eating with our family, and we supposed to be so grateful and thankful for a day. This whole time, I was fooled. They fool us all the time, man. They've been doing it forever. But comment below, man. Make sure y'all like the video. Appreciate everybody who tapped in, man. It's your boy Thao. Peace.
FamOver.